Item. SCP-1149. Object Class. Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1149 is to be kept in a secure room at the westmost end of Site-37, located in a remote location on the northwest coast in the United States. To minimize the conspicuousness of its effects, SCP-1149 is to be pointed due west toward the Pacific Ocean at all times. See Incident Report 1149-A. It is to be firmly attached to its support structure, which is itself to be anchored to the floor. Accelerometric and atmospheric sensors attached to the support structure will transmit readings to a nearby monitoring center. Atmospheric conditions within SCP-1149's containment room are to be kept stable with an airlock permitting entry. A single fan mounted in the wall of the room to the east of SCP-1149 is to be tightly covered and locked in position until it is required for testing. When opened, airspeed shall not exceed 30 km per hour. Access is restricted to Level 1 personnel with the approval of a superior. SCP-1149's wires must be grounded during any test until more information about the object is obtained. Approval for complete testing of a vertical, upward orientation is currently pending. Testing of a vertical, downward orientation is prohibited at Site-37 due to its close proximity to major fault lines, and no site transfers are currently pending at this time. SCP-1149's rough cone of effect has been classified as a conservation area, and all non-emergency watercraft and aircraft are disallowed access. 2 patrol teams using United States Coast Guard motor lifeboats will monitor the boundaries of the cone of effect for trespassers. Patrol should not pursue trespassers, but should contact researchers in charge of SCP-1149 for further instructions. Description: SCP-1149 is a rusted weather vane approximately 45 cm long and 30 cm tall, bearing no discernible manufacturer's mark or any particularly identifying features aside from the common rooster ornamentation. The base of the vane is corroded and appears to have broken off from its mount sometime prior to recovery. Within the severed mount point, 2 frayed wires run further up into the vane. Interior imaging shows them terminating just beyond the feet of the rooster and reveals no power source or other notable components. The wires are believed to have once connected to a control mechanism. SCP-1149's anomalous properties appear to always be in effect but are amplified in density and frequency when wind passes over it in the direction in which it is pointing. While active, weather activity will become erratic in the vicinity of SCP-1149. Most of the anomalous effects will occur within a cone of effect, approximately 215 km long with an arc of 5 degrees, originating from the object's arrow tip. While the frequency of appearance of these effects does taper sharply near the boundaries of this cone, anomalous effects have been observed, on rare occasions, well outside of the cone of effect. When kept out of the wind, SCP-1149 causes an anomalous weather event to occur within its cone of effect once every 15 minutes on average, with each event typically lasting between 10 seconds and 2 minutes, depending on the intensity of the event. When exposed to air traveling along its length, that is west, in its current orientation, the events become more frequent and last longer. When exposed to winds between 25 and 40 km per hour, the events will be continuous at the center of the cone of effect, with events stopping and starting randomly near and beyond the borders. Beyond 40 km per hour, events will begin to overlap, creating a continuous event growing in intensity until the speed of the wind passing over SCP-1149 decreases below this threshold. Incident Report 1149-A. The original containment procedures for SCP-1149 had it secured in place pointing directly away from the Earth's surface. It was believed that this orientation would result in the lowest possible magnitude of abnormal weather events. However, The object's effect on upper atmospheric layers was not predicted. In the days following initial containment, a slight yet noticeable increase in sprite electrical events and aurora effects was observed over Site 37. The frequency of these otherwise uncommon events was deemed to potentially draw undue attention to Site 37, and SCP-1149's containment procedures were updated for a westward orientation. Addendum 1149-1. SCP-1149 was discovered in the ruins of a small coastal cottage in, or after a strong storm had passed through the area. While the primary storm itself was not strange in and of itself, Foundation agents were dispatched to the area when highly anomalous weather effects were observed over the Pacific Ocean, focused in a rough cone shape emanating from. Agents were unable to find the owner of the cottage, though evidence suggests that the property had been inhabited until a short time before the cottage's destruction. SCP-1149 was found firmly affixed to the remains of what is assumed to be the interior wall of a shed. A wider search of area was unable to locate SCP-1149's base or any further information regarding SCP-1149's origin or operation.